All right, Joe, good morning, everybody. This is
Morning.
May 19th. I want to say it's our 8th or ninth webinar on coronavirus stress. And I started recording just a little bit late. You all know you are being recorded. You all know that it's going to go up on Facebook and, it's been published. So if you don't want that, don't speak up. And if you don't want people to see your name, then just watch the recording later. Yeah, we just had a wonderful, Leslie just gave us some really deep insights about, having more focus and reflection in the last few weeks, that we're just all kind of hunkering down, focusing on being healthy, using anger as fuel instead of a lifestyle. That's an interesting thing to think about. And there's a difference for you between what you can control and what you can actually affect. And just figuring out where to find your place in that. Did I feed that back correctly for you?
Yes. Because if I'm going to be a resource for building a new normal, I want to be able to think well. And I discovered that when I began to do scenarios for the future, which I had no way, because I had no way of guessing this, that was a kind of fruitless endeavor. So lingering in uncertainty was the thing that we began to talk to about, that just sort of seeing, accepting, feeling that there are lots of things I can't, I have no idea about the future.
Right. So basically what you're saying is the only thing we can control is how we live at this moment.
That's right.
And to make sure that we're taken care of and that our friends, our environment is set up in a way that we can all function. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, and what that means to me is listening to the unsettledness. The first thing is really listening instead of trying to instruct somebody about.
We had that topic last week. Do you guys remember that? Where we realized that we were really starting to come into this phase. It's so nice you're saying this, because I see this progression and how we process all this. Last week, we actually talked about not tapping on being uncomfortable, because this is uncomfortable. It's not going to be less uncomfortable just because we tap on it now. This is not, we can't tap on being, completely comfortable around people who may have a disease that can impact us. And being capable of making that shift into personal responsibility and into creating our own life and our own lifestyle, making our decisions independent from other people, creating that mindset of what do I need to do to live my best life right now? And what do I need to accept? What can I change? What can I impact? What can I control? And how can I be still free with the things I can't control? I think this is really something that we need to kind of start to figure out. How can we actually exercise our personal freedom within the parameters of things that set us limits right now? Right? And if you want to take this all the way, you can wonder, how can a fish be happy if it can't go on land? Because it's very well adjusted to the water, right? And vice versa. How can we be unhappy if we can't breathe underwater? Well, we never even thought about that. Right now, it's how can we be free and have a freedom of mind, freedom of choice, freedom of what we want to do within the parameters of making sure that nobody impacts somebody else's life and nobody gets sick. We should have done it a long time ago, because there are a lot of sick people in this country. They thought they can do whatever the hell they can do, and it doesn't matter. It matters. It has always mattered, and I think people just start to realize that. How does that sit with you? Is that a direction that makes sense for you today, or what comes up for you that bothers you? Because we don't want just to talk. We also want to tap. Thank you, Leslie. Very, very, very powerful stuff that you said. What comes up for other people? What would you like to tap on? What bothers you? Australia, I see you're still in Lithuania over there. So my
yeah, and my flight was canceled, but not this bothers me the most. My mother-in-law died because she didn't get enough care.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You mean like, because of COVID, like all the regular patients who needed care didn't get one. Um, my,
That's in New York, right?
yeah, no, that's Lithuania. It's Lithuania.
Oh no.
Yeah, my husband fortunately was able to come from New York and participate in the funeral on Friday.
God. So
And
your
then
husband
my
is with you right now.
and then my friend wrote me a note that her sister died because she didn't get enough care, and I'm really sad about it, that people are dying because they didn't get enough care because of the virus.
Yeah. I'm sorry. How can we support
If
you?
we could tap on that sadness, I would be
You
very
want to tap on the
grateful.
sadness? Is there something else you need right now? What works best for you?
Just tap on sadness and let me cry.
Yeah.
It will be the most helpful right now.
Is it okay if I rephrase what you said a little bit
Oh
and
yes, of
maybe
course.
telling a story, or
You can, yeah.
what? Is there something specific you would like me to do right now? What is her name? Your mother-in-law.
Oh, my mother's-in-law name,
Mm-hmm.
Felicia.
Felicia. Oh. Your husband is with you right now, or did he fly back to New York?
He's isolated for 14 days.
So
He
he is
flew
in
from New
Lithuania,
York.
but he didn't come to see you.
He came. He left his isolation with permission for a few hours to get, to the funeral, and he came back to the apartment and he sits here. And someone, oh, by the way, like it's a little joke. Someone checked on him and asked him, "Did you check your temperature?" And he said, "No, I'm okay. I'll call police on you."
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Oh yeah.
that's the virus reality these days.
In Germany, it's the same thing.
Really?
You have to hunker down, and the cops come and check on you. That's why they can open now, because they have it under control. They know where
Yes.
people are, and they know they're staying put.
He didn't understand what he's joking about,
Yeah. No, I hear you. Germany's the same thing. Hey, and you know what? Everybody says, how can they have so little folks that die? Well, because they know that they're actually following the rules.
Yep.
This, Azruli, let's tap. Okay. Everybody on board with us? Azruli, what works better for you? Do you want to hear our voices, or would you like me to just you and I tap and have a little more privacy?
To hear voices would be wonderful.
Hearing voice would be wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's do that. Okay. And you guys, if something becomes too loud or too dominant, I can see here it blinks up a little bit, and I will just mute you. Don't take that personally. I just want to make sure that we have a cohesive feeling here on the call right now. This is the craziness of this. On the one hand, we have the power of it, and on the other hand, we just have the whole like, oh my goodness, where are we gonna go? Let's tap. Karate chop point. Even though my heart is broken.
My heart
is broken.
In a way that nobody will ever understand.
In a way that
nobody will ever understand.
This wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary.
This is wrong.
This is wrong.
Other people deserve care too.
Other people deserve care too.
And it's not right.
And it's not right.
Who says who has the right to get care?
Who
Who
says
who has the right to get care?
And let other people die.
And let other people die.
She needed help.
She needed
She
help.
needed help.
She had the same right as other people.
And she had the same right as other people.
Both of them did.
Both of them did.
And they didn't get it.
And they didn't get it.
They just didn't get it.
They just didn't get it.
And I don't even have words for this right now.
And I don't even have words for this right now.
But I do love and accept myself.
I do
but I do
love
love
and accept myself.
And accept the fact that I don't have any words for this right now.
And accept
And
the
accept
fact
that
that I
I
don't
don't
have
have any
any
words for this right now.
And even though I don't know how else to talk about this,
even though
You know, I don't know
I don't know
how
well, to
else
talk
to
about
talk to this right now.
other than using the words sadness,
either other than using words of sadness
and unnecessary.
and unnecessary.
I allow myself to heal when the time is right,
Allow myself to heal when the time is right,
and in a way that works for me.
and in a way that works for me.
And even though there is this, there are two parts to this.
Even though there is two parts to this.
One of them is her life
One of them is
her life
and what she means to me,
and what
it means to me.
what she means to my husband,
What she means to me. Her life and what she means to me.
what she means to the family.
What she means to the family.
And the other part is this unbelievable betrayal.
Unbelievable betrayal.
I cannot believe this happened to her.
I can't believe this happened to her.
And I don't even know if it's okay to ever find peace with that.
And I don't know if it's okay to ever find peace to that.
For me or my husband.
For me and my husband and my son.
And my son. Top of your head. This overwhelming sadness.
This overwhelming sadness.
Inside of the air, my heart breaks for my husband and my son.
My heart breaks for my husband and my son.
Outside of the eye. I am heartbroken.
I'm heartbroken.
Under the eye. And to make matters worse, this was completely unnecessary.
And make matters worse, it was completely unnecessary.
She needed help and she didn't get it.
She needed help and she didn't get it.
And that is the truth.
That is the truth.
She needed care and she didn't get the care.
She needed care and she didn't get it.
If she had gotten the care, who knows how things would have turned out.
If she got care, who knows how the things would turn out.
And I don't know how to live with that right now.
And I don't know how can I live with that right now.
How do you live with that?
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 How do you move forward with that?
How do you move forward?
How do you get this out of your system?
How do you get this out of your system?
What do you do with that?
What do you do with that?
I have no idea.
No idea.
No idea.
I have no idea.
My heart and my thoughts and my feelings are bumping against each other right now.
My thoughts and my feelings are bumping against each other right now.
Maybe I'm trying to find some kind of peace with this.
Maybe I'm trying to find some kind of peace with that.
But how would that feel right?
And how would that feel right?
Because this isn't right.
Because this isn't
Because this isn't right.
It wasn't right.
It wasn't right.
So how can I ever find peace with this?
How can I ever find peace with this?
Shouldn't I be upset forever
Shouldn't be upset forever
about the fact that she didn't get the care she needed?
about the fact that she didn't get the care she needed.
Shouldn't I keep this within my thoughts and my feelings?
Shouldn't I keep this within my thoughts and my feelings?
Just to honor her and my husband and my son?
Just to honor her and my husband and my son.
And to keep the memory alive that this happened to her without any fault of her own?
To keep memory of her that is happening without any fault on her own.
Shouldn't I just hold on to this?
Shouldn't I just hold on to it?
Just because?
Just because.
I don't know.
I don't know this.
Maybe right now I should.
Maybe right now I should.
Maybe right now it feels right.
Maybe right now it feels right.
Maybe there will be a time when it doesn't feel right.
Maybe it will be time when that doesn't feel right.
Because she deserves better
She deserves better
than me thinking about her.
and thinking about her.
This huge cloud hanging over my head.
Huge cloud hanging over my head.
Maybe there will be a time when it's okay for me
Maybe it will be a time when it's okay for me
to lift that cloud
to lift that cloud
And let the sun come in again.
Let the sun.
Let the sun come in.
And maybe that will feel right for her as well.
Maybe it will be right for her as well.
Maybe.
And only I know when that time comes.
No one knows when the time comes.
Only I know when the time is right for me.
Only I know when the time is right for me
To lift that cloud of what happened.
to lift that cloud of what happened.
And being able to honor and love her the way I did before.
Honor her the way I did before.
I know. Without it being tinted by what happened to her.
Without being tended to what happened to her.
Needed.
But right now,
But right now,
I just feel what I feel.
I just feel what I feel.
Anybody would.
Anybody would.
And I'm so, so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
There are no words.
Shouldn't be having this. Oh, I had no idea I had so much tension.
Oh yeah, you were just,
I was shaking,
yeah.
like strangely, yeah.
How could you not be shaking right now? This is just right. This is just wrong on every level. And that's, that's just, I'm sorry.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Now here, this tension is right here on the back of my head.
Okay, let's do another one, hon. I have so much tension in me.
I have so much tension in the back of my head.
So much tension in the back of my head.
So much tension in the back of my
I'm
head.
holding that all in right now.
I'm holding all in right now.
I don't know what else to do.
I don't know what else to do.
What else can you possibly do?
What else can you possibly do?
I got to do something.
I have to do something.
I have to do something.
I have to do something.
I can't just move on.
I can't just move on.
Well, what do you do?
What do you do?
At least I can have this tension in the back of my neck,
At least I can have this tension at the back of my head.
and all this tension in my body.
And all this tension in my body.
That's the least I can do.
That's the least I can do.
To prove how horrible this is.
To prove how horrible this is.
At least I can have this tension.
At least I can have this tension.
I got to do something right now.
I got to do something right now.
Just be sitting here complacent. I can't just be sitting here complacent.
I can just be sitting here complacent.
I got to do something.
I got to do something.
At least I can hold this in as much as I can.
At least I can hold this as much as I can.
Feeling super tight in my body.
Feeling super tight in my body.
Maybe it feels even inappropriate.
Maybe it feels even inappropriate.
To not suffer right now in the way that I do.
To not suffer right now in the way that I do.
Maybe it feels right to feel physical tension.
Maybe it feels right to feel physical tension.
After all this happened.
After all this happened.
And I got to do something.
I get to do something.
And if my way of bearing witness
And my way of bearing witness
is to become as tense as I can be,
become as tense as I can be.
then I'm going to do that.
And I'm gonna do that.
I'm going to be as tense as I can be.
I'm gonna be as tense as I can be.
Even if it hurts me.
Even if it hurts me.
Even if it doesn't make any difference whatsoever.
Even if it doesn't make any difference whatsoever.
Even if it might be in the way of processing in a way that's better for me.
Even if it gets in the way of processing in the way that it's better for me.
And supporting my family with the love and care that they need right now.
Supporting my family with the love and care that I need.
And that is going to make me feel better as well.
And it's going to make me to feel better as well.
Because I'm a healer and I want to help people.
Because
I'm a healer and I want to help people.
And I'm a healer and I want to help people.
I'm a mom and I want to help my son.
And I'm a mom and I want to help my son. And he was all alone in New York. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
who is all alone in New York right now.
who is all alone in New York right now.
And I want to help my husband,
I want to help my husband, who is all alone in the apartment.
who is all alone being checked on by the cops. I know. But I'm going to hold on to that physical tension,
But I'm going to hold on that physical tension,
even if it doesn't serve anybody.
even if it doesn't serve anyway.
Anybody.
And the reason I know that
And the reason I know that,
is nobody asked me to be physically tense.
nobody else said.
Because you want to ask me.
I don't ask to be
Physically
physical
tense.
tense,
And I'm doing it anyways.
and I'm doing it anyway. Yeah,
Anyway.
I didn't even know I'm doing.
Well, how could you
Only
not be
when we
doing?
started tapping, it came out. Now I feel numbness in that part where I felt tension, but it stopped. The tension got much better, but just numbness now. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I probably pushed it aside, and I'm trying to help.
How long ago did this happen, Israeli?
She died on Monday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, and
It was last week?
yeah,
Because you weren't here on the last.
and the funeral was on Friday.
Okay. Wow, it's so fast, huh?
It just happened.
You had no time to process.
Not yet.
Yeah.
And my son refuses to talk about her. He said, "No, I don't want to talk. I will start crying. You start crying, and it will get worse." And I want to talk. And my husband, he's like really like emotionally like distant, so he wouldn't talk about this either. And I really don't have anyone to talk about her.
Well, no, you do. I'm glad you're here. Gosh, I'm glad we
so
keep
happy for being here for me. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful for all of you.
Yeah.
So grateful. In this difficult time, it's so important.
Yeah. Karate at your point, even though the truth is I don't just feel alone.
The truth is I just don't feel alone.
I don't just feel alone.
I don't just feel alone.
I actually am alone in some ways.
I actually am alone in some ways.
I'm not making this up.
I'm not making this up.
My husband doesn't talk.
My husband doesn't talk about it.
My son can't talk.
My son can't talk about it.
Who can I talk to?
Who can I talk to?
How can I process?
Who can I process?
When is it ever going to be my turn?
When is it ever going to be my turn?
Because this is hard for me too.
This is hard for me too.
And they're not helping me.
They're not helping me.
Somebody needs to help me right now.
Somebody needs to help me right now.
The truth might be
The truth might be
that my peeps are somewhere else.
that my peeps are somewhere else.
And they get it.
They get it.
And they're here for me.
And they hear.
So I'm not as alone as I thought I am.
I'm not as alone as I thought I am.
And even though my husband has never been a talker,
Even though my husband never been a talker,
bless his heart,
bless his heart,
and my son doesn't talk
and my son doesn't talk.
because it's better for him right now.
This is better for him right now.
And another truth might be,
And another truth might be,
I have nothing to say anyways.
they have nothing to say anyways, right?
Because the mom in me
Just the mom and me.
is supposed to have answers and solutions.
To have answers and
Supposed to have answers.
And solutions. And I have none of them. I have neither right now.
I have neither right now.
I can't be strong and give all sorts of advice.
To be strong and give all sorts of advice.
The only thing I could do is fall apart with them.
Best I can do is fall apart with them.
And they're not used to that.
And they're not used to that.
We're all having a stiff upper lip.
They all
We're all having a stiff upper lip.
They're all having stiff upper lip.
You suck it up.
Get up.
You don't talk. So falling apart with others
Falling apart with others
and being comfortable with that
and being comfortable with that
It's not something my family is used to.
It's not something that my family is used to.
And the reason I know that,
And the reason they do that,
I know that
I know that.
is because I've tried for years to change that.
I have for years to change that.
And I was not very good at it.
And I was never good at it.
So with all the good about them,
So all the good about them,
processing trauma is not their strength.
processing trauma is not their thing.
Their strength,
Their strength.
but it's what they need to learn right now.
But this is what they need to learn right now.
So how do I process?
Do I process?
How do I do this?
How do I do this?
What can I do for myself right now?
What can I do for myself right now?
How can I stop worrying about my husband?
How I can stop worrying about my husband?
How can I stop worrying about my son?
How can I stop worrying about my son?
Because they do what they need to do right now.
They do what they need to do right now.
And instead, I take full responsibility for how I feel.
I take full responsibility for how I feel.
This is my time.
This is my time.
This is my time to heal my feelings.
This is my turn to heal my feelings.
This is my time to come to terms with who I am.
This is my time to come with terms who I am.
And I don't need my husband's permission.
And I don't need my husband's permission.
I don't need my son's permission.
I don't need my son's permission.
I don't need anybody's permission.
I don't need anybody's permission.
Other than my own.
Other than my own.
So I can give myself that permission.
So I can give myself that permission.
Nobody gets hurt once I start processing.
Nobody gets hurt when I start processing.
Chances are they don't even notice that I'm doing it.
Chances are they don't even notice I'm doing this.
This is a huge opportunity for me.
This is a huge opportunity for
To
me.
take myself very seriously right now.
To take myself very seriously.
I deserve it.
I deserve it.
I don't need my husband's permission.
I don't need my husband's permission.
I don't need anybody's permission.
I don't need anybody's permission.
I have full rights to take care of myself right now.
I have full right to take care of myself right now.
And I'm starting on that process.
I'm starting that process.
It's way overdue.
It's way overdue. Oh, thank you, Ingrid. It's much better. Like, yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. If I need to
You don't, and it's, it's your time. There's nothing you can do for this right now. There's nothing to do. It happened. It is the way it is, and it's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I was stunned. No one but me cried at the funeral.
Yeah.
No one.
I hear you. I can relate to what you said here, and it's
What?
yeah.
That's the way they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they process.
Your husband is American?
No, Lithuanian.
He's also Lithuanian. Yeah.
He's a we came together.
Oh,
Whole family, me, my husband, and my son.
and how did you raise your
4
son?
years ago.
Did you raise your son bilingual? Did you raise your son
bilingual? Yeah, my son
bilingual.
is
So
bilingual.
he has a solid part of your culture as well.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that gets taken away a little bit when you don't teach the language, I think. So, very cool. Yeah, that's, you people have been through a lot, and learning how to just stay focused, like yay wide. Just,
yes.
okay, I got it. This happened. What are we going to do next? This is something Americans are just beginning to learn. I mean, Americans don't even, I'm sorry, and I don't mean this in an offensive way. And I know, I don't mean this at all. It's just a matter of fact, right? There are countries that don't believe they have the freedom to do everything because they never did, right? They just, okay, there's no food right now. So what
They
do we
didn't
have?
even have
right?
time to process.
You don't, because it's just not about that. It's just, okay, that's behind, it's not in front of me. What's in front of me? I have one egg and one potato, and I have 4 people to feed. What do I do? Right?
Correct.
That's how my mother was
Correct.
brought up. You know?
Yeah.
And it was 3
Yeah.
people. But,
Yeah.
you know, there's no food. What do you do? There's no, you know, okay, one person's down, everybody else is still accounted for. Let's go. Well, that's just everybody focus.
Or
And
you
that,
send your kid to steal potatoes
to what?
from the
Yeah.
field. Yeah, that's what they did.
Yeah, you send the little ones, because when they get
Yeah.
caught, it's not as bad. I know. And this does exist here, but in a very different way. Because it's not carried by the entire culture, it's just carried by some. And I think in your country it's a little different, because everybody had the suffering. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's okay, you know, maybe we shouldn't even go there, but I just always look for, you know, what can we learn from each other? And for some people, being brought up with expecting that something horrible will happen sooner or later creates a mindset of, when it then happens, they don't cry, because they never thought it's impossible. They always knew it's possible. They just didn't know how and when and if, but the possibility is definitely there. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling, thank you, Ingrid. I'm feeling much better. I processed a lot, and I think I can tap more on myself instead of, not instead, but plus to tapping on my son's sadness and not being able to cry. Surrogate
He may
tapping.
not want to cry. This may just not be his thing. You know, people do things when they're ready and when it's right for them.
Right.
Um,
But
and
he, for some reason, he says that it gets worse for him when he cries.
yeah, I totally understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand that. And, you know, sometimes, and we should probably all talk about this, not just me giving a monologue here. I'll just give you my point of view. It's sometimes people who have a survivor mindset, they need to find a solution that works for them before they can actually start grieving. Because they know that they need to know where they're heading when they go deep into the tunnel. And that kind of grief, that kind of betrayal, that is not just grief, that is deeply traumatic. Because, and we addressed this in the tapping, you know, this is deeply traumatic. And when you go into a traumatic situation without knowing how you come out of it, without knowing where you want to be once this is done, there is a very good chance that you get stuck in that tunnel. And so we did this in our tapping, you know, putting a time frame into this for you a little bit. When the time is right, I can find peace and lift the cloud at the right time, not right now, but this is what it will feel like. Those are things that people need to know in order to get out of a very traumatic situation. They have to have an emotional connection to that yet. Otherwise, you just rip a band of a wound that's still bleeding. Right? And sometimes that's important because it has to air out and you need a fresh Band-Aid. And sometimes it just needs to, you know, it's just not that time. You know, and that's okay. So the thing to do for him, from my perspective, would just be very loving. You know, everybody does this their way. I am here for you. You tell me. And when you know, and the more you work on yourself and the more he sees that you are processing in your way, and he knows you good enough to know that you guys are very different, the easier it will be for him to fall back on you once that's something he needs. That's my point, but you guys may completely disagree. And I know that a lot of you here on the call have been through a whole lot. And whatever kind of words of wisdom you would like to share, I'm just going to unmute everybody that, yeah, there are a few people that are still muted. So if you want to unmute yourself, go for it. You can see if you are in the top left. And if you have something to share, that'll be great. I think this is, they might be helpful. Does anybody have some thoughts on this?
I think that this is Charlie. I think that this situation of Australia, how do you say your name? Australia?
Australia.
Australia will come more and more to our awareness, because it's happening all around us. People who have not gone to the hospital because they're afraid of COVID are getting sicker or dying at home, or sitting and fretting about surgery. It's becoming a real issue. I think we will hear more and more about it. So I'm grateful that we did this tapping now in preparation, in a way. For you, it's right now in your life, but I think we will all experience that in coming days.
Yeah, you're probably right. There is another funeral on Thursday. I'm going to comfort my friend. And yeah, it's a consequence of the COVID and all
Many, our whole lives have been put on hold.
Yeah.
And yeah, and sick people have been sick at home.
I do want to encourage you, though, if you are in a situation like that, to put your foot down and fight. If you need to go to the hospital, you put your foot down and you fight. I did this for a friend of mine. It took me 3 days to get into the hospital. 3 days of non-stop being on the phone. And one was got canceled and this and then the other was very, very complicated, but eventually she did get seen. We do have to stand up for our own things if we can at all do it. You know, that doesn't mean it's always possible, but standing up and fighting and not feeling selfish, like I'm taking somebody else's place, this is not the time to do that. I truly believe that there's a time to stand back and say, you know, maybe my problem is not as big as somebody else's, but if your problem is a big problem, you need to go. I'm being seen. You know, I am being seen. And my doctor called me and said, would you like to do this remotely? And I said, no, I need to. And that's, you know, and they asked me 15 times and my husband can't come with me and la, 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 and this and that and the other. I'm being seen. Oh, yeah. I will not do this remotely. There's no, and I mean, I can't do it remotely anyways, but, you know, it's just, there is very few people at the hospital right now. I can tell you that, you know, it's very strange. There's more security guards than folks, right? It's empty, right? But if you need to be seen, you need to be seen. And sometimes, you know, standing up for that and not feeling shy about that is also important. So it's again, it's this evaluating what can be done, right? And there's no right or wrong here. We just have to learn to find our way and find our voice and speak up and do our best, I guess. Right? It's a very scary time. It definitely is. Well, would somebody else have some feedback for Australia right now? Because I think you can use all the cuddling that you can get right now, right? Sounds like your husband is too far away to do that, and the police is going to check on him if he does. So,
well, from my own experience with grief, I guess I'll offer advice. You can take it or not. See if it resonates with you. But for me, I needed to almost monitor myself minute to minute to say, well, am I going to think about this more now or tap about this more now? Or is this a time when I have 5 or 10 minutes to go work in the garden and not think about it? And or go out for coffee or some little thing to take a little break as long as it felt right, and then grieve and just kind of, I guess I'm saying, be gentle with yourself and see what you need, because you will know what you need better than anyone else. And if you're able to, if your family can take what you offer them, that's awesome. But if they're not, if you're still, when you're by yourself, take care of yourself.
Mm.
Nurture
Thank
yourself.
you. It gave me a great thought that I'm probably like rushing myself. Oh, you tapper, you know, you should know better. You should be over by now.
A 1 minute
Thank you.
miracle and it's done. But
No, yeah,
That's not what it's for.
there
yeah.
Not
are,
what tapping is for. It's not for lying yourself into a pretty reality. If it's about helping you grieve. You know, I remember, I mean, the way I teach this is acknowledgement, healing, transformation. This is not the transformational part whatsoever. Transformation is, oh, how can I make a bad thing a good thing? You get there, right? At some point, we'll see the blessing in it all, and who knows what. This is not the time for that. Right now, this is, you're smack in the middle of it, and acknowledging that it hurts, and that it's wrong, and that it's not okay, is so much more important right now. To feel that void inside, that feeling of, you know, running away from something. It's part of your life, and it will always be part of your life. And really understanding and honoring that, and giving yourself the time to breathe and say, hey, this is very difficult. And this is extremely important. I find, if I can share this as well, I have two faces. I have, and I can snap like that. And you've seen them both in this call, right? And when I talk about my own stuff, you know, I can burst into tears in a heartbeat. You say the wrong word and I just completely lose it. And you say another word, or I say another word, and I am just full of joy. And it's both. It is just, it's just two things that exist simultaneously. It's not like you always have to be in the miserable just because things are tough. No, you know, there are times when you have to, because when things are tough, you have to, you know, anyway, you might as well just process it. But there's the other side as well. And that is just as real. It's perfectly okay, even when times are very difficult, to have a laugh. It's not disrespectful to the negative things and the difficult things to just have, to just crack jokes, to take a great hike in the woods, to do whatever makes you happy. Watch Shrek for all that matters. Right? It's a good one, by the way. You got to watch Shrek 3. It's so funny. There's nothing wrong with being in a really good mood in the middle of trauma. Right? It's not. If that's where you want to be and that's where you need to be, and you run around and you say, oh my God, this is stunning, then that's just as real and important as saying, you know what, I know everybody is happy and having a party right now, but I'm going to go and cry. Mm-hmm. Right? And so often we try to keep ourselves in one space or the other because we think it's disrespectful, and it's just not. It's just, if we have a right to go and have a good cry, we also have the right to go and have a good laugh. And it's all of that. And I think that resilience through honesty about what the moment wants, and your son is obviously good at that, that creates resiliency to give you the tools to get through very difficult times. And I think that's that's what gives optimism, that's what gives strength. And it's very difficult to go into trauma and process trauma if we don't have the happy-go-lucky side in us, right? If we can't just, you know, be in a super bad mood and we turn on Shrek 3 and we have a good meal and we say, oh my God, that's delicious, right? Just, so that's what, you know, my 2 cents here, but it's part of it.
I'd like to contribute something if I can.
Yeah.
I live in Wisconsin, which is a place that has a lot of cheese in it. And however this happened, I think it was in junior high school when I learned about the word paradox. And I thought, what's an example of a paradox? It's Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese is very firm and it's got holes in it as well. So it's very empty and it's very solid all at the same time. And so I think of I
It's a
think
great
It's
example.
the cheese, right? Because if there were no holes in it, it wouldn't be Swiss cheese. But
That's
there's no cheese in the holes.
and that's what makes the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I'm thinking that grief and fear are part of the whole thing. So what I try to do is face it, not try to push the sadness away, but as Ingrid I think is saying too, is that there is a balance. There are the holes and there are the solid places,
Mm-hmm.
and that another metaphor is the use of fear. When I swim in the ocean, I am fearful of undertows, sometimes fearful of the things I think might come and bite me when I don't see them. And that makes me smart. It keeps me safe in lots of ways. So sometimes the companion is fear. Sometimes the companion is grief. And what's the balance? The balance for grief is it's not a religious thing. It's somehow thinking about the person who has died in a peaceful place that I don't have access to. But I have access to that peace, which that person is still there for. Does that make any sense? Sort of like love. So that's my 2 cents.
I'd like to throw in something that grief doesn't have a timeline. It just is. And there's all different levels of it and stages, and it comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no right way or no
Great.
end, I guess you could say, to grief. It changes and flows.
Yeah, becomes a part of your life for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I lost my father very young, and there was a time when I felt like I put this into something like a shrine, like a room that you can enter. And when you go into that room, you cry. But you're not always in that room, right? And it's really nice to know there's a door. You can walk in, you can do what you want to do. You can do what feels right. Sometimes it just draws you right in, right? And then you spend the time, and then eventually there's a door and you walk out. And I think what's so important for us is to recognize that's not disrespectful. That's not wrong. It's not, pushing something aside, being inauthentic. How can you be like this when that just happened? Well, you can be like this when that just happened, right? And it's really important to own it both, to own all these parts of us. Yeah, and there's no time. Why would it stop, right? I mean, why would something that hurts stop hurting just because time goes by? What happens is that our life grows and becomes bigger and bigger, and the part that it has in us, it becomes, in relation to everything else that happens. So there is this spot that always has its place. But if our life grows and becomes bigger, then the spot, even though it doesn't shrink, it doesn't have that much space in our life altogether. I don't know. That's
a great point. Like life grows, and that.
and you deserve. Look, you've struggled for this. You deserve to be sad. That's okay. It's a part of, you have the right to be sad. I do want to say, however, I've had, a few people pass on and also work with a lot of folks who were very much struggling with how a loved one passed on. And sometimes, and I know all of you have your own intuitive gifts and things. For me, sometimes I just have a sense that I'm, connecting, whatnot. I always got a sense that people leave in the way they choose to. That's so hard for people to accept. So often I had a sense, for example, when the relatives said, "My God, we came too late," there was a time when each and every one of them could have or had a conversation. That was enough. And that moment of leaving was a private moment for the person who left. And they did not, just like your son who does not want to be distracted by your emotions right now. You know, he does not want to hear how you feel and whether you want to cry with him. He doesn't need that. And sometimes when people pass on, they also feel like, you know, this is kind of the biggest moment of my life right now. I'm doing something that's a really big deal right now. And I just want to focus. That may not be true for everybody, but it's a sense that I got sometimes. I don't know if there's peace in it for you, if that works, or if you completely disagree. But you know, it's just about different perspectives. There's no right or wrong or truth or not truth.
Yeah. Makes me feel less worry about him. It's really like maybe we alike with my son, but still we different. Yes, from me and from my husband. And yeah, you're right. He doesn't need my emotions right now.
He needs you to be a mom.
Yeah.
It's tough to do that when you're not close. I know. What else comes to mind? Who else would like to share something?
My experience right now is that I'm finding out that nobody knows what to do. And it's a very, everybody.
Unfortunately, Charlie, you're breaking off. I think you might have to.
Really, nobody knows what they're doing because there are so many, everything has been thrown up in the air, everything that we know and sort of took for granted. Our lives are very, very, very different. And so really nobody can tell you what to do anymore. We're all wondering. So it's kind of like the playing field has evened out a little bit.
What do you mean by playfield?
Life, our lives are so full of question marks that, and everybody, it's not as if I've just experienced a big upheaval in my life and other people are going about their dailies and managing somehow. It's everybody is in an upheaval. Some are experiencing it better than others, perhaps, but everybody's got these big question marks.
What do you make out of yours?
Well, I seem to be doing better than many people I hear about. I'm used to living alone, and I don't have a lot of needs that other people seem to be desperate for. So but I'm observing that in others, and I must keep that in mind, that somebody that I thought was kind of had their stuff together, so to speak, they're not really having their stuff together. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah.
The one thing that for me is a bit of two things. One thing is I've forgotten how to go outside. I'm just going downstairs to get the mail. I'm in an apartment. It's a big deal. And I hear you. Does anybody relate to that?
Yes.
Yes. I say that to some people and they don't understand me. So I'm glad that I have gotten a response from somebody here. I've forgotten how to go outside.
So what does it look like when you forget it? We live in the country. We're more outside now than we've ever been. Because, you know, you just run around. There's a turkey about this size outside as we speak. So, yeah, it's nice.
It's very different when you live in an apartment.
Yeah.
You have to open the door, walk down a hall, wait for an elevator, get in an elevator, go downstairs, walk through a lobby and open a bunch of doors and go outside. It's very different than opening a door and you're there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I don't go outside. I think many times before I go outside. It just doesn't occur to me anymore.
And how does it feel?
Well, I'm starting to be concerned about it because it took me nearly a week to go out to leave the apartment.
Is it because you're afraid to get
No,
infected?
no, I just don't do it. There's nothing that draws me to go anymore. I found out that I'm not supposed to go out, so I don't go out.
Yeah.
And I have lots to do here. I'm happy here, so I just don't go out.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some social life here. Hi, everybody. I have Zoom companions. I'm a simple person, and I like to live in a simple way. So this is simple.
Mm.
As long as I have electricity, I have hot and cold running water, I'm safe, I'm happy, I like where I live. But I'm concerned that I won't remember how to go out. That I'm cutting myself off from the small amount of human contact that I had before.
Well, I think when the time is right, that will take care of itself. We'll find out. What I'm hearing, though, is that, the one thing that, and a little bit, this is all my personal opinion. I've always been a little surprised that Americans try to keep themselves busy all the time. Nobody's ever home. You ask them, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm great, but I'm busy. If you don't tell somebody you're busy, you're not a person. And I could never really relate to that, because a lot of the busyness was, doing what? Right? And this crazy, like, I'm busy, I got a road, and that, and then everybody says, oh yeah, you can get away with, but you can get away with a lot as long as you tell people the reasons because you were busy. It's kind of a lifestyle to be overscheduled, overtimed, eat ice cream in your car. You can stand in line for a half hour to get the ice cream, but you don't have the time to sit down and eat it, right? It just, the whole, I just watch this sometimes and what is this? Why would you? And it's just this demand from society. That's what I felt like. If you tell somebody you're not busy, they ask you if you want something to do. And it's just weird, So now we're realizing as that falls apart that we actually can be quite content if we're fortunate to not live in abusive relationships, if we're fortunate to not have toddlers around who really need to be outside and see their friends. But a lot of us who are also a little bit older, we can, we have lives that are just fine without spending time doing things that just are time fillers. That's how I feel. I feel much more peaceful. I feel much more accomplished right now. I don't know how that's for you, but I'm hearing that a little bit from you, Charlie, that you kind of discover a whole different lifestyle.
No, I haven't. I'm not a runner or rounder. I never had an enormously full calendar. I don't relate to that.
Okay.
But in fact, I'm the opposite. I tend to be on my own, probably too much. That's part of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The little that I had, I've withdrawn from. I must tell you, by the way.
Is this something you would like to tap on, actually?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I just need to warn you that I've gotten a notice that my connection is unstable, and every once in a while it drifts away. So I just had to tell you that. Okay, that's
noticed.
one reason why I keep it.
It's all good. Don't you worry. Okay, so why don't we do that now? Do you want me to mute everybody and it's just you and me for a minute? Or do
Not
you want
necessarily.
to hear voices? You want to hear people's voices? Okay, so then unless you want to mute yourself, the mics are open right now. All right, my dear. So in that situation that you're in, what is the tappable part in that?
What is the tappable
What is
part?
it that tapping looks for, we're looking for blocks. We're looking for,
Yes.
things that could stop you from doing something, thinking something, feeling something that you would like to have. A
So
mindset thing, a fear thing, anything like that. It's really quite technical in a way.
reaching out to others, I tend not to do that.
Yeah, but that's just a fact. What makes that a problem?
That's a block that even when I need some kind of support, I don't reach out for it.
And why would you not reach out for people when you need support?
Because I don't think it's going to be there.
Okay. You don't think so, or you know that it's not?
Both.
Which one's worse?
The truth is that my experience is that most people are so wrapped up in themselves that they don't really have room for another person. And that person in this instance is me.
And that's an experience you had?
Yes.
Okay.
Repeated.
How many times did you have that?
Over and over and over again.
Give me a number.
Thousands.
Thousands of times.
Yes. That I can read. I just had that experience this morning. Somebody called to be supported.
Let's just put some numbers to this. Thousands of times. There's 365 days in a year.
But most people are interested in themselves and they really don't have the space for me unless they just don't have the space.
And let me ask you the question another way. Did you
Yes.
have that experience with thousands of people or with a certain number of people repeatedly?
With a bunch of people repeatedly. Yes.
Okay. So it's a limited number of people.
Yes.
And a repeated experience.
Yes.
That's different from saying nobody ever has time. It means the people that I know don't have time. It's different. It's just a different way of understanding whether, what we're working on. So there are people in your lives that never have time for you.
I don't think it's a matter of time. I think it's a way of being in the world that I may express a need or an interest, and what I get back is their material rather than really tell me more about it.
Okay. Do you know why that would be?
Because most people are interested in themselves.
That's not my experience, so I wonder why it's yours.
It is mine over and over again.
Do you know why?
No. And if we could crack that code, I'd love it.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. What if we were to crack that code? What the consequence would be? What?
I would feel heard more often. I feel I would be seen more often. And I feel I would be more fulfilled more often instead of frustrated.
So your frustration comes from people not seeing you?
Yeah. Okay. So I've withdrawn a lot in my life.
Okay. Now, if there were very specific people that you would like to be seen by, who would that be?
I can't name a specific person.
Oh, it's just general people in hallways?
That's right.
Or just random hallway people that you want to be seen by?
It's almost whoever I come in contact with. Somebody called me this morning to be supportive and find out how I am. Mm-hmm. And they said, "How are you?" And then interrupted me and started talking. Okay. And then asked me another question and then interrupted me and started talking. I never did get to say, I never did get to tell one story through. And I'm not talking about a story for 3/4 of an hour. I'm talking more now than I did on this call. They just kept interrupting me with their needs and their thoughts and their questions and their whatever. I call it their material.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't pivot that?
No.
Well, at the end of the day, okay, so what would you have rather had? Would you have rather had them say, "Hey, Charlie, can I talk to you because I have something on my heart"?
Yes, and the reverse. If they ask me a question, give me the space to answer it.
Okay. Well, it seems like they only ask the question so they can talk to you and empty out.
Whatever.
Okay. And
They,
that felt,
they reacted to what I said, but then they reacted and took off from it and
Mhm,
interrupted what I was talking about.
mhm.
So it's frustrating. So I just let it go. I don't invest myself in others. Does that make sense?
What's happening?
Leslie, I see you reacting to this.
I'm hearing a whole bunch of things, and I wonder how much of that is good for a group call and how much of that would be better addressed
Well, let's try it. Yes,
privately.
I understand that. Let's
know.
relate it back to reluctant to go out and reconnect with the world. That's the larger question.
Okay.
The personal stuff, I get it. Yeah, that's for.
And it might just be a good idea to,
Have-
you know, and you all know on this call, you can contact me privately. We can put some time in the calendar and
Yeah.
we can talk about doing some work together if you'd like to do that. Sometimes it's just the faster way to get to where we want to be,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes we just can't figure it out on our own. And the reason we know that is because we've been trying it for years and it didn't work. And that doesn't mean we're not good at EFT. That doesn't mean we're not good people. It doesn't mean we're not smart, accomplished, and have our shit together. Sometimes we really just need some support, right? And that's just how that is. So please, if you feel like you're stuck in something, just think about how long you've been stuck and let's contact and talk, because it's just, you know.
So let's relate it back to fear
It's a
of going
different
out.
thing. Let's actually, Charlie, let me have this. Let me take this on, okay?
Okay, go ahead. Oops. Did it go away?
No. No, it did not go away.
Okay.
No. Okay, so let's just see what happens.
Mhm.
Okay, right at your point. Even though,
Even though
here I am,
here I am,
Charlie.
Charlie.
And the truth is,
And the truth is,
I'm stuck.
I'm stuck.
I am.
I am
I'm stuck in my home.
stuck in my home,
I'm stuck in my apartment.
stuck in my apartment,
I'm stuck with the relationships that I've been able to create.
stuck in the relationships I've been able to create.
They're not getting any, they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
They're not really warm and fuzzy the way I would like them to be.
They're not really warm and fuzzy the way I'd like them to be.
And I don't know how that happened,
And I don't know what happens,
but it happened.
but it happens,
And it's costing me.
and it's costing,
And it's costing those who are supposed to be my friends.
and it's costing those who's supposed to be my friends.
Because they leave a call, they leave a connection with me feeling weird,
They leave a connection with me feeling weird,
not really knowing what to do,
not really knowing what to,
not really knowing how to be comfortable with me.
not really knowing how to be comfortable with me.
And I see them reaching out to me,
And I see them reaching out to me.
but they don't really want to know how I'm doing.
They don't really want to know how I'm doing.
They want to tell me how they are doing.
They want to tell me how they're doing.
And I'm not okay with that.
I'm not okay with that.
That doesn't work for me.
That doesn't work for me.
So I'm stuck.
So I'm stuck.
For some reason,
For some reason,
I've never been able to create relationships.
I've seldom been able to create relationships.
I have been able to create them sometimes,
I have been able to create them sometimes,
but not a lot.
but not a lot.
And I'm confused about that.
And I'm confused about that.
And I struggle with that
And I struggle
to the degree
to the degree
that I decided to withdraw into my apartment
that I decided to withdraw into my apartment
and tinker around the house.
and around the house.
And just tinker around the house, right?
And so
So here I am.
here I am.
Hold on, let me just, inside of the eyebrow. I'm stuck.
I'm stuck.
And that hurts.
And that hurts.
And it makes me feel resentful.
And it makes me feel resentful
Because I'm a person too.
because I'm a person too.
I want to be heard and I want to be seen.
I want to be heard and I want to be seen.
I want to tell my story.
I want to tell my story.
I want people to be interested in how I feel.
I want people to be interested in how I feel.
I want to make sure
I want to make sure
that my voice gets heard.
My voice gets heard.
That people take me seriously.
And that people take me seriously.
And that they're glad they did.
And that they're glad they did.
And somehow it never happens that way.
And somehow it seldom happens that way.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
But not that often.
But not that often.
And that really fills me with resentment.
And that sometimes fills me with resentment.
It fills me with resentment.
Fills me with resentment.
Okay. Inside of the April, I don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
Even though I might.
Even though I might.
Maybe I do understand it.
Maybe I do.
Maybe I do understand what led to this.
Maybe I do understand what?
What led to this?
What led to this?
How this all came up, how this all came to part.
How this all came to part.
The relationships that happened.
Relationships that happened.
Growing up.
Growing up.
What I learned.
What I learned.
And what I didn't learn.
And what I didn't learn.
What I got.
What I got.
And what I never got.
And what I never got.
What I was expected to give.
I was expected to give.
And what I was never able to receive.
And what I was never able to receive.
Maybe I've lived in a confusing world.
Maybe I've lived in a confusing world.
For quite a while.
For quite a while.
A world where I don't understand the rules.
A world in where I don't understand the rules.
I don't really understand how to participate.
I don't really understand how to participate.
In a way that works for me.
In a way that works for me.
It's just confusing.
It's just confusing.
It's weird.
Weird.
How do you fit into that?
How do you fit into that?
And one problem might be.
And one problem might be.
That I want it to be perfect.
That I want it to be perfect.
I have my standards.
I have my standards.
I have my ways.
I have my ways.
I always have suggestions for improvement.
I always have suggestions for improvement.
For betterment.
For betterment.
I always see a bigger picture.
I always see a bigger picture.
I want things to be better.
I want things to be better.
And somehow. I'm stuck.
I'm stuck.
Because I don't know how to create relationships.
Because I don't know how to create relationships.
That are warm and fuzzy and last forever.
That are warm and fuzzy and last forever.
Take a breath. Is that true? How does it feel?
Most of it is very right on. Yeah. Yeah. And I love the warm and fuzzy. I think that's a wonderful phrase to remember and to use in future tapping. Thank you for that.
Top of your head. The truth is.
The truth is.
Inside of the elbow, there's plenty of warm and fuzzy people around.
There's plenty of warm and fuzzy people around.
So what's happening here?
So what's happening here?
Why are they not in my life?
Why are they not in my life?
I'd love to have warm and fuzzy people in my life.
I'd love to have some more warm and fuzzy people in my life.
But somehow I don't attract them.
Somehow I don't attract them.
Somehow, maybe I'm scared of them.
Maybe I'm scared of them.
In some way that I may not know.
Some way that I may not know.
And I may or may never find out why.
I may or may never find out why.
But here I am stuck.
But here I am stuck.
Wanting to be with warm, fuzzy people.
Wanting to be with warm, fuzzy people.
And have some repellent around me.
And I have some repellent around me.
That attracts the wrong folks.
That attracts the wrong folks.
And maybe I've known a lot of wrong folks in my life.
I may have known lots of wrong folks in my life.
That doesn't mean the others aren't there.
Doesn't mean the others aren't there.
Plenty of warm and fuzzy ones around.
Plenty of warm and fuzzy ones.
And maybe I can learn a way.
I didn't hear you.
And maybe I can learn a way.
Maybe I can learn a way.
To attract more of them.
To attract more of them.
In a way that works for me.
In a way that works for me.
Take a breath.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel?
Good. Makes me laugh.
Good. We like laugh.
Yeah.
Charlie, let me share a secret with you.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody calls you and asks, how are you? Only to tell you how they are.
Mm-hmm.
here's a good way to react. You take a deep breath and you say, tell me more. That's warm and fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. When you start the warm and fuzziness and you say, look, I realize, and you understand in your heart of hearts, they did not call you because they wonder how you are. They called you because they needed you to be a friend. And the way to frame that is to say, I have so much trust in you right now that I know I can call you. And you will probably listen. I hope you do, because I don't know who else to talk to. Let's just let that settle in.
I'm a wonderful listener. That's part of the problem.
Well, if you see this as a problem, it is a problem.
Because I end up listening to everybody else, and they, at the end of it, they say, well, gotta go.
Okay. Well, the problem is not that you're a good listener. The problem is that you don't know how to pivot.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Don't, Thank you.
Give me a call later. We can talk about this.
Learn to, thank you. That's a good way of putting it. I love that.
You don't know how to get out of relationships what both of you need.
Yes.
And there is a time when people just need to blow it off on you. There's a time for boundaries. There's a time for, let me be here for you the way I want you to be here for me. And all of that. And if we don't have those tools, if we don't know how to do this correctly, then we just don't. Right?
Yes.
There are people in my life that I'm very open with and say, you know what, I got to tell you something. I can't listen to you anymore. I can't. I don't have it in me. I just don't have it in me right now. You know, I love you and I respect you and all of that. I just don't have any capacity left. And what we do? We just hang up the phone. They say, oh, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. I just don't have any capacity left. What am I going to do? And we talk the next week. And if I care enough about them, and I usually do, we talk again. And sometimes that's just what they do. And I have to make up my mind, do I like them anyways or not? If they're rude and miserable, I don't like them. But very rarely people are rude and miserable. Most people are really just in real need some right now. And I'm too. So
thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. What's everybody else's reaction to that? I think this is the isolation that we're in really kind of brings out these things as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I've muted you guys, I don't know. I think some of you have.
Yeah, they're all muted.
But what is your guys' reaction to this? It does bring up boundary issues, right? I mean, right now we actually get to choose if we want to talk to somebody or not, if we want to see somebody or not. We can just say, oh, about the COVID, I can't leave the house. So what are your thoughts on this?
I could identify in some ways with her, what she was saying, definitely. Both with withdrawing into my own world and also having trouble reaching out and having relationships that give me what I need. So I could definitely identify.
So how do you do this now? What is your strategy? Do you have something that you could share to others? Coffee, but it's just how that works.
Well, in some cases, I have particular things that are of great interest to me and are not of great interest to most people, but I really try to pay attention to the other people who share those particular interests. My flock of chickens, for example, I have 2 or 3 people that I can talk chickens with. And the people, their eyes would just roll up in their head and sleep. So I kind of have a little list of who I can talk to that. And, and some of my other little pet subjects that are fascinating to me. If I meet somebody who's also interested, I flag that name. Mm. So I don't have anybody who shares all my interests, but I have many people who share some.
That is such good advice. And you know, I'm just as I listen to you talking, I think we need to be mindful that that's not just chickens. You're talking to a spinner. So I have friends that have Angora bunnies. You bring up the word bunny and you will get an earful. You have no idea. It's just, oh my goodness. But the same thing is true for our emotions. Not everybody likes to talk feelings.
For sure.
Right? And somehow, especially those of us who are very emotionally connected, we believe that everybody should be. Just like everybody should be talking chicken or spinning wheels. I have 3 spinning wheels and I can tell you all about them. They're wonderful. I have about 75 skeins of German sock yarn, right? Which is a lot of sock yarn. And that's just the sock yarn. And if you're interested, if you were on my Tuesday night call, you know, you would have already asked me to bring them out. And show them to the world, because everybody wants to see sock and nobody wants to see sock. The same thing is true for our emotions. The same thing is true for our interior design. The same thing is true for our relationship with our kids. Not everybody then cares. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to know how our children are doing. Right? They say it because they say it the same way they say, I'm busy. No, they're not busy because they have a cell phone and they were just texting. You can't be that busy, right? They don't want to hear about our kids. They don't want to hear what we're cooking. They don't want to see a meal of the glass of red wine and the cheese with the grapes and whatnot. They are officially not interested. And they're also not interested in learning how we're doing, because they believe that our lives and their lives don't have enough in common that we would both learn something from the conversation. That doesn't mean they don't like us. That doesn't mean we don't have anything in common. It just means we don't have that in common.
I'm on mute.
And sometimes it's important for us to recognize that there are certain people we can talk feelings with, and other people we really shouldn't be.
Oh, this is your Zoom.
And that's okay. I don't know how you feel about this. I know this is probably a super controversial statement right now. So if you disagree, go right ahead. I don't blame you. What are your thoughts? Does this make sense at all? Or is this, Bruce, I see you on the call. You're a guy. Talk to me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
Just my cat, one of our cats likes to join me whenever I'm doing tapping, it seems like. So,
but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty introverted, and so I do let other people take control of the conversation usually. But I'm like Nell, if I do find somebody who connects with a particular interest of mine, then I come away from an event, a party or something, feeling better about it because I connected, on, particular interests, gardening, whatever, and stuff. So, yeah, those are the best times when I find somebody that I connect with on a similar interest. But I tend to let other people take the conversation in their direction and just hang back most of the time. I don't come away feeling bad about that. I just know that's how I behave, and I don't mind if somebody else talks about what they're interested in.
Yep. Do you think that everybody's interested in talking feelings?
Well, not me.
There, you got it. Now, does that mean you hate the person who does talk feelings?
No. My wife is very good at cluing in on other people's feelings and what she thinks would be good for them and all, but she will hold back. She'll talk to me about what somebody else ought to do and how she's feeling about that and all. But I don't express my feelings back very often. No, I pretty much keep things to myself. That's the way I've been ever since a little kid.
Yeah.
And that's caused me some stress, I guess. I mean, I don't want to get into all this right now, but from the time I was a young kid, I don't know, before I was a teenager, I became, something caused me to bite my nails and pick up my fingers and stuff like that. And pretty much been a lifelong problem. But I then, once I first got into EFT, I had one of those 1-minute miracles, and for about 5 to 7 years, I stopped completely. But then I kind of drifted away from tapping, and after a couple of years of not tapping, it started coming back. And so now I'm back to tapping again, and I can control it. It hasn't gone away like the miracle that one time where after that one session, it was just gone. I had no inclination to bite or pick or anything. And now I can control it as long as I do a lot of tapping.
Yeah.
But so I internalize something. I keep the stress inside of me, whatever my feelings and stresses and emotions pretty much are internal, and maybe that's why it comes out as it does. Everybody thinks I'm a very easygoing, calm, and cool and collected, but down below the surface, there's something going on, I guess, that's I'm not letting out, and that leads to my nervous, picking and biting.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Does it make you uncomfortable when people dump their feelings on you?
Somewhat.
See, that's important to know, right? It's just the way it is. People are very different, right? When I talk to my husband, and it's, he's a doer. He's like, he can, his way of showing love is to mow the lawn and do this thing, and get me coffee to bed. And I mean, hey, I'm spoiled. Get an emotional conversation out of the man. He's probably just busy building my compost. Right? So I learned to say, I need a compost. And I also learned to say, what kind of tools do you need to build me one? It works for us. So he gets his tools and I get my compost. It's all this beautiful compost, by the way. He did a fantastic job. It's all leveled. And, but, and that's just, I think it's a matter of respect to know that talking emotions is just not everybody's thing. And even if they are good they seem to be good listeners. And I'm really grateful for you saying this, Bruce. Even if they seem like a good listener, that doesn't mean they're necessarily comfortable listening. It just means they don't say they don't like it. Right?
Yes.
And so for whatever it's worth, processing emotions and processing thoughts and feelings and trauma and all of these things, which is so important, needs to have a partner that's willing, capable of doing that. And just because we know them we're good friends doesn't mean they're the right partner for that. Charlie, I don't know if that helps any. I don't know if that's in any way supportive of where you are at right now.
Well, it veered off into talking about feelings. I'm talking about generally. It isn't just I'm dumping feelings on people. I don't do that.
It's a part of it. It's just food for thought. Just food for thought. Yeah. But I think in these times, it's really important to realize, who is a good, I don't know. I think it feels like relationships are being redefined a little bit. And maybe they're not, but
everything is being redefined. Mm-hmm. Everything is up in the air now. It's really quite fascinating. Mm. Everybody on every level everything's up in the air.
Which is a kind of a good thing, because
I'm hoping so, because I'm hoping the creativity that we're seeing now just oozing out of people's video cameras and audio equipment is going to be some of the answer to some of the problems that have been revealed, all these cracks that we have been revealed. Maybe some of the creativity that's oozing out can help solve some of those problems. That's my hoping.
My sense is right now that everything's getting magnified. Do you guys agree with that?
What do you mean everything?
Anything. If you have good relationships, you have all you need right now. If relationships, or if you had, whatever we do, we now have the time and the environment to do more of. Whatever you love to do, you probably do more of right now. And whatever was a problem before becomes a bigger problem now. Our life is kind of in our face right now. The way we've been living, the things we're doing. I mean, look, disagree, go for it. And I think we don't want to go too far over. We'll probably want to end in like 5-6 minutes probably, but let's if you'd like, what are your thoughts?
I don't want to go over. You got me?
I do.
All right. I'm in another world, I swear. I live in Brooklyn. We still can't go out. I can't do anything I want. They tell me I must stay in the house. And like I feel trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people keep on coming to my door with things or leaving me messages. But that is certainly not the way I want to live.
Yep.
And because of my age, I don't see any light at the end of this tunnel. All right, I'm trying to live day by day. But what are you going to do? This is what they're telling you. I mean, the lovely mayor decided if too many people are showing up at the beach, this is a joke. I really believe he's never going to do this. He's going to put a fence around the water so people can't go in the water. He doesn't want you on the beach. I mean, the beaches have been open, except for New York City, because we're not responsible. And in one sense, it's probably true. Half the people are still not wearing masks. They're still going around and, wherever, with whomever. And there are certain schools that are open for their kids. So I have no control over those parts. I understand that. But I still want to have some control over my own life. I still want to go out. They tell me it's not safe for me to go out because of age.
And what do you think?
Well, at one of these instances, I'm going to start going out because it's not working. Mm-hmm. First of all, I'm not getting enough vitamin D. Mm-hmm. I'm having trouble walking. My muscles are getting atrophied, I guess. I don't know. I'm getting stiff anyhow. Mm-hmm. I have to get out and do something. I mean, as far as I go out now, is to the mailbox, which is 1 block away, and come right back. And I do that at 7 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody out. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Yeah.
Anybody got a solution? I'm willing to listen.
Yes. So what would you like the solution to be?
My solution? Mm-hmm. I guess I would like to go out. I could say I can't change society. Somebody's got to make them convince themselves that it's not safe for everybody if they're not wearing masks and they're not doing what they're supposed to. But I can't say to do it. They're not doing it. And when they wanted to report people, that didn't go over too well. So as far as, I guess the only thing I can do for myself is to start going out. Just be careful.
What are the things that you miss the most? What do you want to do when you say you want to go out? You want to go to a restaurant? Do you want to go? What's the thing that's really the
any place? Just see people.
Just to see people.
Talk to people, whatever.
Yep.
I mean, they can't go too far right now because there isn't anything open. I mean, if you want to get something in, you can call up and get groceries, that kind of thing. If you have a certain income, you can get groceries that way. Otherwise, I don't want to get into the politics of the rest of it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more to that. So personally, maybe the parks are locked, but the part outside of the park by where I live is open because it's not fenced in. So I'm going to go up there, go around a few blocks just to get out, start getting out, and go from there.
I just there's a park right where you are in Brooklyn.
Are there parks? Yeah, I have a marine park right by me.
Okay. Would it be safe if you went to the park, find a bench for yourself, bring your own blanket to put on the bench if you need to do that and wash it later, and just read a book for an hour?
I don't know how many people are in that park right now, but I would walk around it and check it out. Yeah, I can do that.
Because if you are put, then you can control how close people come to you. If you stay in one place, the thing that freaks me out the most is that if I go to a supermarket, you see me in tears, right? I mean, I'm immune compromised. Do not come to. So, But if I'm in one space and I do something that feels like a total luxury, like I am reading a book with my cup of coffee right here, right? I brought the mug. This is my coffee. And I have my mug. I have my thing. I read my book and I'm sitting on my bench. And don't you dare come anywhere closer than not 6 feet, but 12. We know that too, right? Which is fine on a bench or on a blanket on the whatever. And you just claim that moment of luxury and privacy in a space that you can completely control at a time that feels right for you. Would that be an option?
I could try it. I mean, I can tell you they're walking around here in groups with no masks. I mean, I don't know if they're in the park that way. I'd have to go and see. That's, but it's an option anyhow to try.
It sounds to me, because I totally, I mean, we want you to be safe. There are ways of being safe and being responsible that still gives you that feeling of control and luxury and comfort and being outside. And you need to be outside. That is totally get that. Look into that. If there is a way to do exactly what you're told to do, keeping yourself safe and still doing something that is unique and special and gives you hope.
Worth a try, definitely.
Would you let us know if that's a possibility?
Will do. Okay.
And the other thing that might be helpful is if you have somebody that you trust, and they could kind of come with you with the social distancing and everything else we know.
My friends are all over 70 also, and they're told not to go out because there are existing conditions. They're all in their houses.
Yeah. But I was just thinking, sometimes we need an advocate. We just need somebody to say, you need to stay away from her, right?
A few weeks ago, I was going to meet somebody, but then the buses got where the homeless were staying on the buses, so it wasn't safe to go on the buses anymore. Otherwise, we were going to meet down at the beach on the boardwalk and just walk there together. But there's a distance separating us.
It's not working right now.
It's hard to drive when there's no parking.
Yeah, I hear you. So the point being right now is really to look for pockets of opportunity. And I don't know what those look like. I can't give any advice. I mean, that's on you. But look for pockets of opportunity. Look for those places where you can fit your life into the circumstances in a safe way that gives you the feeling of, hey, bitch, I'm taking this on, right? Don't you mess with me. I get my coffee. I do my thing. And still have something to look forward on a daily basis. Look for that. See what that could be. Because feeling trapped is really, in the beginning, it was just what everybody needed to do. And I know New York City is not out of the woods, but it's getting better.
Are you asking or you?
I'm hearing that. Would you agree with that?
No. Maybe it is and maybe it's not, but when there's still 100 people dying a day, I mean, if that belongs to somebody, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And the fact that these people will not put the mask on is beyond me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's lots of neighborhoods. I have friends that work and are afraid to go home to their own homes because these people are all on the street at night.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Is that the cost of freedom? If that's what they're saying?
There's no freedom. That's not freedom. My freedom ends for you.
Stupidity, period. But I mean, what can you say?
I have an idea. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
There are some community people. There are wonderful volunteers out now. And I wonder if you need an angel to go for a walk around you, not with you, but nearby you to protect you.
Yep.
And somebody who would be happy to say, for half an hour, I'm going to be your angel, Joan, and I'm going to keep people away from you. And you dress up protected the way you want to be protected, and I will too. And I will be your angel, and I'll make sure that there's a circumference around you that's safe.
Yeah. Now, where are those angels located?
Well, I've just been reading the New Yorker about that very thing this morning, about people coming forth by the hundreds to help other people in Bedford, Stuyvesant, in other places.
All right, wrong neighborhood.
I know, but they're in many, many neighborhoods. You can
Don't listen to this. Don't say it's impossible. You need to find ways that are possible.
Right.
And that's true for all of us.
Where they contact them? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Put a clear note up on a telephone pole. and say, I'm looking for, or you look on the telephone poles or on restaurants.
Yeah, she can't go out like that, but I'm sure it's online as well.
That's
The
right.
point is, Joan, thank you, Joan.
Yeah,
That's
look-
exactly what I was trying to say,
Yes.
is you need to find somebody to protect you right now.
An angel.
Yeah, you find somebody to protect you. You find somebody who says, I'm happy to take a walk with a person at risk, making sure that nobody gets closer than 12 feet. And there are people, that would be help. Look, the whole point here is look for opportunity. Don't buy into I'm trapped and that's the way my life is going to be. There's lots of things that we can do if we take charge and responsibility for where we're at right now. And I think that's really where we kind of figure out what we're made of, right? Are we resilient enough to find out how can I fit in? How can I do my thing? How can I still get that sense of satisfaction? What works for me? And maybe do it in unusual ways, but do it anyways. Figure this out. I think our call has gone pretty long today, but again, it was one of those, it felt right to do it this way.
It
And
takes time to find an angel.
so that's really, something to look into.
will do.
Don't let people tell you what to do, and don't tell, if you need a certain freedom for something. I want to tell you, I went into the face of somebody in the supermarket 2 days ago because I was terrified standing there, and she was running around with a kid and a husband, and they were just all over the place and blocking them. And she made a comment about me being like this, right, to her son. And I walked up to her and said, "Woman, can I have a conversation with you for a minute?" And I said, "Do you know what this means?" And I told her whatever's going on. I said, "Do you know what that means?" And I said, "Look, here's my problem. You don't know if you have this, and I don't know if you have this. But if you had this, then this would be opportunity to give it to me, and I would die if you did. And that's why I'm having a problem with people not wearing a mask." And she was like, "Oh," right? Because she was wearing the T-shirt with a freedom thing on the back, like in a big way, right? And she was thinking like I had prejudices about that, and it is not about. She can wear whatever T-shirt she needs to wear, but if you have this and you give it to me right now, I'm screwed. And you have the right to say that. And you actually, I think you even have the responsibility to say that. If somebody gets too close, that nobody knows who has whatever. And in where you live, it's much worse than in New Hampshire where we are. We don't have sidewalks here. But still, I have 2 friends who had it in my tiny little town. One of them had 2 strokes as a result, and she still can't really talk or walk, right? And the other one had it twice in a row, and it's she's still not okay. And the third one's as well, right? I mean, we're talking, you never know. Tell them it's okay.
Thank you. Right. Well,
you have the right to do that. And I'm actually even thinking about creating a badge for this. Please stay away. Just tell people, I'm an at-risk group. Please don't come close. End of story. Make a hat, whatever. Do whatever you need to do to make it clear to people that they need to think before they come closer. There should be a market, shouldn't it? Can we make money with this?
Oh, I'm sure.
Do not come closer. I'm at risk.
okay. Got it.
So, you guys, wow, huh?
Thank you. I'm feeling surrounded by angels kind of now.
And we're all kind of, I'm honored that so many of you stayed on the call all the way to the end, even though some of you were really just watching and participating that way, and others are full in.
Thank you, everybody.
It's where we're at right now. Yeah. And while for some, it's just like, it's a spiritual experience and a opportunity of growth. The others have the tragedy going on as like no tomorrow. It's just where we're at right now. And if we can just all embrace each other a little bit and stick with it a little bit, we'll get through this.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks
Larry.
one and all.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and I'm going to put this on my Facebook page. Please tell other people. Take it. Tell as many people as you can because we all need each other right now, right? And we never know what our calls and our meeting here, what it's going to bring up. So if somebody needs it and they don't know about it, that'll be pretty tragic, I think. All right. Love you all. Thank you for
Love you
spending
too,
time.
Ingrid.
Thank you for who you are to each other and to
Thank
me.
you,
Bye-bye.
Ingrid.
We talk
Bye.
next week. Bye-bye.
Take good care.
Thanks, Edward.